Hey, Tyler Price here, real estate agent. But today we're here to talk with my friend, used to be a kid that I coached against and coached with, or have coached anyway. I liked him when he was on my team versus not on my team. Oakley Hussey, owner of Protocol 12. That's hard for me to say, Protocol.
It is hard to say,
I don't know why that's hard.
Right?
I don't know. But he, a kid that went to Hillcrest High School, got a playing football up at Utah State for a second, at Idaho State for a second, then decided, hey, you know, getting married, having kids of my own, and doing stuff, why not, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But what is Protocol 12? Tell us about that. Right. We're going to start driving around a little bit.
Absolutely, let's do it. So Protocol 12, basically for me, it's just my athletic performance business. All we're doing, our focus is bring athletes in here in the Southeast Idaho region, bring them in, get them better, give them the tools for success. The biggest thing that separates us from most is our focus on speed, right? Yeah. My biggest thing is getting kids better the right way. I think there's a lot of trainers out there, there's a lot of people out there that try to do, you know, they do a good job, but for me, like the way that the community that I've been able to be a part of, the people I've been able to learn from, and kind of going through it myself, I've been able to learn a lot. Being able to apply that to these athletes here in this area is super different, super new for them. So it's been a really big deal for me and for them, and we've seen a lot of success.
Yeah, and it is something interesting, because before moving up here 16 plus years ago, this type of training was happening in bigger cities, right. And even your former Little League coach Kelly Battleson and I used to have conversations like, somebody needs to do this,
right.
And people have really got into strength and conditioning, which is all part of it too, but agility and speed matters as well, right?
Exactly, and that's kind of what we try to do. Like a lot of my thing to athletes when they come in, and what I tell parents is like, we're here to get faster, I'm here to help you move more efficiently, I'm here to help you produce force, jump higher, all these athletic things. Like my thing is, I'm not here to kill you. Like if you're sitting here at the end of a session and you can barely breathe, and you're like, on a scale from 1 to 10, you're at 10, you're tired, we didn't accomplish anything.
Right.
We're here to get purposeful work in. We're here to get better.
Yeah, and
right way.
That's interesting, because I've coached for over 20 years, and I can tell you, sometimes coaches don't know what we're doing all the time, and they'll spend time running kids, especially in football, and it's like, you know, the game of football is played in 7-second increments.
Right, exactly.
And so we need them to be really good for 7 to maybe 10 seconds, right? So anyway, so you're not just focused on one group of athlete,
no,
because I've seen some of your stuff, and there's the girls that are in maybe volleyball or softball or something, right?
Exactly. Yeah, for the most part, most kids that come through play football.
Yeah.
But, as I've gotten a chance to grow, and kids have gotten to see what else is out there, and parents as well, we've started to get other sports, basketball, volleyball, track is a big one. Obviously still growing on football, obviously for obvious reasons, but we're growing, we're starting to get a little more diverse.
Yeah. So, and again, just kind of interesting that hey, if you just focus on one, well, there's a lot of things that translate over, and the technology and the skills that are happening. I mean, it's pretty incredible, because what did you have growing up?
Nothing. Not much. It was backyard grind.
Yeah. and you were a kid that was pretty disciplined, I'll say that, having coached you through in high school, right?
Right.
But what is that? You know, why are these kids wanting to come to you? What is the purpose of it? I mean, there's a lot of kids that want to go and do the college thing, which you did. But the college thing isn't all what it's cracked up to be either. But is that kind of the payoff, do you think? Or
I think the payoff
for
me, really, at the end of the day, is the number one thing I always try and tell athletes and parents is like building confidence. I think is the biggest thing. I think one thing that a lot of athletes lack, and that can be for various reasons. It's upon their skill. That could be upon, you know, the coaches they might have, the household they might be in. It don't matter. But the biggest thing is gaining confidence out of it. Is my biggest thing. Like, that's my payoff. And once I can get an athlete to be confident in themselves and their abilities, the more progression they're going to make, the better they're going to perform, the better they're going to feel, and then it's just all uphill from that point on.
Yeah, and it's not just in athletics at that point, right? It's all mental. It's mental. It's all about life. I mean, that's what I've loved about it, because you can visually see a kid when you tell them, nice job, you did it right. and then it's just
Right.
from there it becomes
Right.
muscle memory
Yep,
and some other
exactly.
things, right?
And it's some of those things like you come in and it's some of the different the movements you make are things like you haven't done before. There's
Yeah.
things in there that you maybe don't have the chance to do. Maybe there's things we do that you've lightly touched at school, in high school, in your training programs or whatever, but it's kind of that extra work, like that movement, that speed, that reaction, all that kind of stuff is really what we focus on. That's stuff that I know most kids don't have the chance to hit, and coaches don't have really the chance to go over,
Yeah.
just for the time and the limit that they have and the amount of athletes they have in a given setting. So like gaining that confidence is a big one for me. Obviously the payoff to go play at the next level is super huge. Obviously we want every kid to, if that's something that an athlete decides they want to pursue, then by darn we're going to do everything we can to give them that opportunity, or at least guide them that direction.
Yeah, and that's a whole different thing in and of itself, especially because was the NIL deals, was that a thing when you were there?
No, so that's
and you were there just recently.
Exactly,
quite honestly, yeah.
exactly. It's a new thing, and it's really changed the landscape. Like especially, obviously, for me, like I'm becoming familiar with how other sports work when it comes to recruiting process. But the biggest one, obviously, that comes to mind when we all think NIL is football.
Yeah.
And it's changed the entire landscape of the game. Like when you sit back and look at it, like just with the ability to make money, the endorsement ideas, like transfer portal, all that stuff, it really has kind of messed things up a little bit.
It has,
but
right?
Being able to be somebody that's been through it kind of and actually study it, and I have those connections out there that are verified and know what they're talking about,
Right.
being able to kind of interact and network with them, it's kind of given me the opportunity to, if I have some of these kids that want to go play at the next level, kind of guide them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Just because of what it's done.
Yeah, because it's a tricky little landscape, and it
tricky.
became really complicated. But it is funny when you see a kid, the kid at Texas whose uncle's and grandfather played in the
Arch
NFL.
Manning, yeah.
There we go. Yes, I'm old, so I'm
You're good.
forgetful.
It's okay.
But the Manning kid, who really hasn't played that much, is
Right.
making more money than the Purdy kid for the San Francisco 49ers.
Exactly.
Which I think is
crazy.
It's funny.
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, what a time to be alive. I mean, and that's one. I mean, it for me, like, are there things that maybe need to be changed about it a little bit? Yeah, but I would say to any athlete that's looking to have the opportunity to go play at the next level or trying to get to that point, like, you really do. You live in the best time, really,
Yeah.
for a college athlete. Like, you
Yeah.
are in the prime time. If that's something you choose to pursue, like, it right now is the best time it'll probably ever be.
Yeah. Plus, it's like if you can get a college education paid for, because going to the next
Exactly.
level beyond that
Exactly.
in any
It's
sport,
hard.
that's hard.
It's 1%.
And and so getting an education paid for. And
Right.
so what made you decide that this was going to be your path? Because there was a time when you were looking more medical.
Right.
At least I remember you
Yeah.
talking to me about that
Yeah.
one day, right?
Yeah.
But what was the path for you
That's a good question.
Because
That's a really
change,
good question.
right?
It is kind of a change.
Yeah.
I think for me, just like being able to have the opportunity to go play at the next level and enjoy something so much and love it. Like when I was done with it, I kind of had a time, probably a 2-week time where I was like, dang man, like I was kind of sitting around. I felt sorry for myself. I was like, but things were changing. Like I was having a kid. I was married. We were moving. I was injured. Just different things were going on. It's just like you kind of step back and you kind of reflect on everything, and it's like something you always thought that would be forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of feel sorry for yourself, and for me, like that's kind of how I felt for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I was all mopey, and I was not really depressed, but just kind of like, man. So I just remember one day I was like, you know what? Like I'm gonna kind of take what I feel like is a trial for me, my biggest trial, and turn it into everybody's blessings, I guess, in a way. Like that was kind of my thought process. So I started doing receiver, running back training, a little bit O-line, D-line training from time to time, linebacker, DB, that kind of stuff. I had a friend up in Rigby that had a facility at the time, and he was nice enough to let me use his facility at when he was up there. I got the late hours. It was 8 o'clock to 11, and it was what it was. We had a new kid on the way, and it's just like you get what you take what you can get. So being able to do that, and then obviously build my way up to where we're at now, like it's been quite a journey. But the process of getting into there, how that's kind of changed, honestly, it's grown so much I mean, it's taken a lot of work. Like a lot of people see what I'm doing right
that's
now.
easy, right?
And they're like, oh yeah, I want to go do that. And there are other guys out there doing it. It's great.
Yeah, that's great.
But it's not for the weak.
No.
It's not easy. Like what you're seeing now, honestly. I mean, I was even training kids when I was home during COVID. We all thought the world was ending.
Yes.
I was doing that a little bit just because I was at my mom and dad's house, and I mean that's what I was doing between workouts. I was helping kids out. So it's been something that's been really in the process for the last almost five years almost. So it's taken a lot of time to grow, and as it's grown, it's just I've gotten deeper and deeper into it with you know, obviously I started doing those position trainings. Now I'm over here with opening Protocol 12 up. We're doing speed and agility, athletic movement. That specifically, it's not really position training, but I still do that on top of the speed training. And then it's opened up into 7-on-7 now. We're taking kids going and competing across the Northwest. Like it's kind of been mindless growth.
Right.
And I think it's just gotten me. I've just gotten so deep into it that it's just like I haven't really stop to think, you know what I mean? I just kept trying to grow it.
Keep doing that.
You just keep growing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There is in owning business, right? Your kids love you, and some of the kids I coached this for the past 3 years, like Blake Ford, and anyway, there's about 8 to 12 of them that have joined you.
Right.
And those kids love you.
Right.
And then there's the people that look at what you're doing and kind of hate what you're doing, right?
Sure.
So how do you keep that mindset? Because you've always been pretty positive. I've seen you get after teammates, but in the right way. But because there are people that are going to be out there saying, "Oh, Oakley doesn't know what he's doing. Come with me," right?
I think the biggest thing, like for me, is I try to stay out of that kind of thing. Like for me, you can't really like. In this type of a business, like there's enough kids to go around.
You can't serve everybody.
And for me, it's like honestly, I will never tell a kid not to go train. Like if I have a kid and say, I'm gonna go train with so and so, or I'm gonna go try this, I'm like,
go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
For me, the more you know, the better you're gonna be. Like you might go to the one trainer and he might know something that I don't know. I might know something that he doesn't know. Maybe we both do the same things and we know the same things. Maybe it's a personality thing. It don't really matter to me. There'll always be people, no matter what business you're in, there'll always be naysayers, and it's not anything different than when you're in athletics. Like you can be a high school athlete, you can be a youth athlete, you can be anything really. At the end of the day, there's always going to be naysayers. You know what I mean? So at some point, you just block it out and you just keep doing your thing.
Just do your thing.
I'm sure there's naysayers. I haven't had any issues.
I haven't heard any, but I know they're out there. Right?
I'm sure they're out there. Who cares?
Yes.
Like for me, it's just like you just got to keep stepping. You don't have time to worry about the people that are talking below you. That's always been my mindset. What's under you can't worry about. Just the only way's up.
No, and I think from a guy that's known you again since you were 5th grade and looking at you've always been positive. So I think that in addition to the fact that you're giving sound training to these kids, there's a whole mindset that's going to take them into whatever they want to go do.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's always been the mindset for me. Like I always try to be positive, high energy, high confidence, not cocky. Confidence.
There's
for me, like
swagger and arrogance aren't the same thing.
Swagger and arrogance are two different things. Most people don't really realize that, but there's a big difference. Like we want kids confident, we want them to have some swagger, we want them to be positive, and we want them to be excited. Like training should be the most fun part of the kid's day. Like that's one of my biggest things. Like when I'm training kids, is like, how can I make this the best part of their day? Like how can I get them to work hard, put the effort in, get better, but how can I get them to enjoy it? Which is something I feel like nowadays gets super lost. Like I feel like lots of kids, and again, it goes back to whether that's the coaching staff they have, that whether that's their mindset, whether it's the household they live in, it's a lot of different factors. But there's so much. I feel like kids put a lot of pressure on themselves. Like there's more pressure than there is joy. And for me, it's like pressure is good to a point. I need you to have joy. Like I need you to enjoy this. I need you to enjoy getting better. I need you to enjoy working. And if you can do that, build your confidence, then your performance is through the roof. You're untouchable. You're unstoppable at that point.
And it spills into academics and it spills in everything. Right?
That's why you do sports. It's all applicable to life. I mean, that's the whole point of sports. That's why you do it.
No, we definitely had some fun at Hillcrest when we were there together.
Good times.
And when I look back, because you won a state championship with that group.
Right.
But my favorite time was freshman year.
That's a great time.
That was so much fun because there was no pressure, no one cared. We went undefeated.
Just whatever.
And it's
40, 50, and 60 burgers all day.
It was a ton of fun. But so now you're getting kids though that are going to be attending other schools and competing against each other.
Right.
And I like that because they now know that person, because sometimes we go into it and just say, I hate that. I hate them. I want, you know, and so then it becomes, speaking to any sport, but specifically to football, well, hey, we're trying to hit each other hard, but we're going to help each other up.
Exactly. It's always been cool to have those other things. I think the dynamic when you have other schools, kids from other schools, you know, working together in the same groups, it kind of creates the competitive environment, kind of that dynamic. Like it's constantly pushing each other, kind of teasing each other, you know, messing around with each other, whatever, but really getting after it, trying to push each other to the limit at least, and get better together. And then, you know, it's like we're friends right now, we're working together, we're here, the same purpose, our same goal, get better, be the best we can be. But when the lights come on, or when we're on the court or whatever, we're not friends anymore. Like that's always been my thing. Like when I have kids come in, it's like, yeah, we're friends right now, we're getting better, you know, compete against each other, lift each other up, build each other up right now. But when you guys are out on that field or you're out on that court, you ain't friends anymore. We're not friends anymore.
I'm here to win.
It's business now. We're here to win.
And that's one of my mantras for me that's kind of evolved over time, is trying to teach kids that winning matters.
Right, it does.
And I go into it where it's like, winning matters, winning is the only thing that matters. And it gets really intense, and moms are kind of going, oh my gosh, what's the guy talking about? But then I start going over what winning is. Well, winning's waking up in the morning, getting hydrated, eating healthy, being kind, doing your homework, helping somebody about their day, and then Friday night, it's all about winning.
Big wins, little wins, little wins, big wins.
That was my thing, I talked about making your bed always, and so that's one thing I love when a kid comes up and says, hey coach, I made my bed today. Because if you can't make your bed, what makes you think you can do anything of consequence? So.
I always say that too, like that's one of my things. It kind of goes along with that. It's a pretty cool saying. It's kind of a combination of a couple things I've heard from different people, but it's how you do your business anywhere at any given moment is how you'll do your business everywhere.
Yeah, amen. And that's very impactful. So how do parents, because this isn't just for the star athlete, right? This is for everybody,
for
because
all athletes.
Because again, and I know that you could help young men that are playing baseball, young women that are in softball or soccer or you know, volleyball, whatever. It doesn't matter the sport. But now I'm old and I'm forgetting where I'm going with this. But there was a purpose. Yes. But yeah, how do you then, I don't know, attract that kid that maybe isn't going to be all state, and parents are going to invest because they're going to get a better kid back.
I think the biggest thing is, like, for me, I always like, for athletes, like, I think the biggest thing is, as long as there's that effort and they're putting in the work and they're focusing on the details and they're attentive, there is going to be a difference that's made. I have so one cool thing, like I have a kid that trains with me right now. He's trained with me for a year. I'm not going to really go into it, but plays football. He's a linebacker. Parents reached out to me at the beginning of October last year when I first started doing the speed type deal. Like, you know, this is my kid. He really wants to get better. Didn't even play, play special teams. Just sat the bench his whole freshman season. I was like, all right. They're like, you think you can help him? I'm like, I think I can help him for sure. I think we can get him better. I think we can do some things. I was like, but really at the end of the day, like, it's up to the athlete. Like, my thing has always been to parents, what I try to tell them in advance, like, I'm going to give you all the critique, all the tools, everything I can possibly give you, every piece of knowledge I've got to your athlete. Like, they're going to get that. And what they do with that is on them. It's up to them. And it don't matter if they're a starter. It doesn't matter if they're a bench warmer. It doesn't matter. Like, you're going to get what you give. And if you give a lot, you're going to get a lot. If you give half, you're probably going to get half. What I'm getting to is this kid came in every single day, didn't miss a single session. went from that freshman year not playing at all to sophomore year, saw JV varsity time as starting linebacker.
Yeah.
I think the last few games actually he ended up playing. He started varsity, I'm pretty sure, or at least got some varsity time.
Yeah.
I might be mistaken on that, but from that's the biggest payoff. And it's not somebody that's necessarily gonna, and it's not just that kid. There's a few other guys, but it's not. Again, it goes back to the not. You know, it doesn't really matter if you're a all-star, all-state, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Like, not everybody's going to have that, but it's that confidence piece. Like this kid, when he came in at first, I could tell there's no confidence, wasn't sure in his ability, whatever. Now that he comes in a year later, swag. Yeah. He's all swag now, and he works hard. He busts his butt. I can tell you that. Like, and it's just cool to see that evolution of kids, and it's everybody. Even those starter kids that you get, those kids that are your studs or whatever. It's like there's always room to improve and get better. Always. No, I
love it. I love what you're doing. I've been watching you. Well, again, since 5th grade, but I think you're right. Sending kids in the right direction, and it's not so much for me. It's not so much about winning and losing. It's about the end result of does your kid look you in the eye? You know, I mean, it's just all those confidence like you keep talking about. That's just so huge. So tell us about Protocol 12 if people are interested in learning more about it. Where do they go? What's the best way to find you? All that.
Yeah, totally. So biggest thing, again, like I said, kind of our overview, emphasis of everything is we're here to get athletes better the right way. Like my thing is always, again, if you're dying, you hate it, you don't enjoy it, whatever, then it's not for you. Like the biggest thing you do when we come in here, we're here to get faster, we're here to explode, we're here to jump higher, produce force, move efficiently, move quicker, all these different things that can apply to the field and whatnot. So for me, I always just had, like, if athletes are interested, parents are interested, I always am throwing my cell phone number out on Facebook, whatever. Shoot me a text. I'm up till 2 a.m. anyway. Let me know. Send me DMs, whatever. I'll respond to just about anything. Come by the gym. You come get some sessions in. Come check it out. But it's really been a blessing in disguise for me. And like I said, being able to take something that I felt like was a trial for me and turn it into other people's biggest blessing, at least, or at least try and bless other people's lives has been a blessing for me. And it's honestly, it's been really good. And it's going in the right direction, and we're again doing a lot of good things and having a lot of success.
I'm super excited for you because this is a kid that you could do anything you wanted to do. I feel academically, you were very sound, mentally you're very sound, driven, all those things. And it was just finding your purpose. And if this is your purpose, which I believe it is, I think you're going to impact thousands of kids, and I think that's exciting.
Yeah, and that's the exciting part. Like being able to do that, I think is a big deal. And the business side is fun. Yeah, it is fun. Yeah. It is fun. Yeah. It keeps you going. It really does. That's the one thing. Like I always tease my dad because it's like, I wanted to go the medical route, and then I kind of started dabbling this a little bit more, and it kind of just built on itself. And it's business, but in a different way. But it's been fun to tackle. Like it's kind of a fun little niche.
It really is. You've done well because there's a lot of people that want to be personal trainers or what have you, and it's a tough deal. You just took your spin on it, and I think you're doing great things. Well, if you have a young lady or young man that is looking to improve not just as an athlete, but as a person, I can't recommend this kid more. He's just amazing, and I believe that he'll be impactful in their life. So any parting words before I drop you off? And you probably got kids to work with today,
I know, I'm done.
Oh, you're done.
I'm done.
Well, you got a wife and a kid to go home to.
I got a wife and a kid to go home to. Heck yeah. No, I got no parting words. It's always good to see old Tyler, old coach, and get to hang out with you and do this again. I'm glad to be on here a second time. We might have to make it a third. This is cool.
We will.
This is super cool. Like it's always good to see.
Yeah, it's always good.
Faces, but I appreciate you and everything you did for me growing up, and
we just tried to stay out of the way. Quite honestly, your group was pretty special. It's just like, all right, don't screw things up, because I do have a philosophy that is, players win games and coaches lose them. So it was more like, hey, just stay out of the way. These guys got it. So
I like that saying.
Yeah,
that's good.
All right, my friend.
Appreciate you,
Oakley
Coach.
Hussey.
Thank
Grateful
you.
for him.
Thank you, guys.
Peace.
Appreciate it.